Hello all. Hey, another weekly update here. This will probably be, hopefully I can get another video out this week too on the Spider Gwen. But yeah, I just wanted to point something out because I noticed that every time I come back to this, I haven't been showing exactly what my project looks like when I open it up. So yeah, when I open this up, that's actually what you see when you're in the story editor thing. Cause see, this all is saved as a template under Clip Studio Paint here. And so if I click on that, this is the first thing that I see. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I'm actually in I'm not in the story editor where it brings up the whole all of the dialogue, but I'm actually in the template viewer, so to speak, here. So yeah, I'm going to open up one of these pages here so I can pull the colors onto the next page I'll be working on, and just give a little bit of one more update. So sometimes I feel like I don't really know exactly what to show on these updates because this is still all behind the scenes stuff, and none of these are the colors, as I've mentioned before in the other videos. None of these are the final colors. So it sort of seems weird making a video like this sometimes, but you know what? If I don't, there won't be any awareness. There won't be any, hey, it's coming out. Keep your eye out for it, kind of thing. So yeah, I've already flatted Bexva on this page, and now I'm going to do Archivelion. So actually, I haven't finished off Bexva on this. Actually, I need to do the reddish color, which is probably going to change later on down the road. But you know what? That's where I'm at. So let me see here. I'm going to grab my wand. I'm going to select him. It's going to grab him from all of the different locations. That's how I have the wand set up. Select new, and then it is on select layers or selected layer, and do not refer to the draft layer. So I'm just going to hold my little shortcut key here, turn that into a minus, and then get rid of everything else so I don't accidentally color the entire thing that maroonish color. Then I'm going to go to save my thumb from holding down the shortcut key all the time. I just do deselect partially, and then that keeps it on a minus. And if you do select additionally, it keeps it always on the plus. So see, I'll keep adding without holding the key down, which on the keyboard would be shift, but I have this little Wacom remote thing that goes with my Cintiq 27 QHD. So I leave it on if I'm working in this way, without selecting everything like I did with the gray step. I just go with the minus because anything I don't want on there, I just cut it out. So yeah, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna cut out all these gray parts really quick. Yeah, and one thing that springs to mind to talk about actually is the current state of, well, I guess you would say just comics in general. You got a lot of people saying, oh, comics aren't doing so good right now and this and that, blah, blah. And a while back, I looked that up, several months ago actually, now that I think about it. And, man, that was just a crock. It was such a lie, or misconception, or accidentally spreading false information, whatever you want to call it. And there is a website called, let me see, I think it's Comicron. Yeah, Comicron. Let me pull it down here. This website. That's one of them. And I don't remember what the other one is right now. And if I think of it, or if I can find it later on, I'll pull that one on down too. But anyways, there's websites like that, and they show statistically how good comic books are doing and whatnot. And I mean, that other people in the industry, maybe not all of the journalists and stuff, but people in the comic book industry, they're gonna probably know about those websites. And saying something like that is just, I don't know, it's pretty foolish, because actually comic books are heading finally back towards the point that they were doing so well in the 90s, which is like the pinnacle of sales and stuff like that, still yet to this day, because of the Image folks. And I freaking love Image. You'll see me mark it down there sometimes when I'm doing my blog or whatnot, and I'll usually write, hey, people ask me, hey, which one's your favorite comic company? This and that. Is it DC? Is it Marvel? Sometimes people know about Dark Horse, but I'm like, nope, it's actually Image. And then I have other indies that I like, of course, too. Like Aspen, things like that. But generally, and I mean, that was founded by Michael Turner, and another gentleman. His name escapes me at the minute. But anyways, it's usually somehow Image related. Is my favorite stuff. And back to the point that I was trying to make earlier is that comic books are doing extremely well, So I don't really know where they're getting that whole, oh, comics aren't doing so good, blah, blah, blah. No, they're doing incredible. Where the problem comes, where everybody's experiencing problems, and they have been for quite a while now, is not comic books themselves. It's the horrible, horrible distribution center problem that is going on with Diamond. From what I've seen and what I've read and all of the information that I've collected, because I want to know too, it's like what spurred somebody on to saying this. And apparently that's what it was. That's the major factor right there, is that there is obviously a distribution problem, which is too long even for me to rant and memorize all of that in just this one session, because I'm trying not to drag this one on for 30 minutes. I don't know if people are going to want to watch that or listen to that, but I'll try to keep it limited to 30 minutes or so. But they are basically, because, okay, I'll just give a very brief rundown. And if you want to know more of it in detail, go listen to Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man on Batman. Specifically the episode where he brings on Neil Adams. And Neil Adams, because he was there, for the whole thing, he goes through basically the whole timeline of what went down. And in a nutshell, there was a distribution problem because DC Comics and Marvel and stuff like that, they didn't want to, I guess, print their own thing. I don't know if they were going through a downward dip or what the heck it was. Oh, that's what it was. It was the freaking most annoying man to comic books probably ever. Frederick Wortham, the doctor guy, the psychologist, who said, comic books are rotting kids' brains and blah, blah, blah. Which is a giant crock of you-know-what. But hey, it happened, and he negatively influenced the industry right when there were becoming very good authors and everything else like that in it. And it was something they didn't really recover from, like, at all until the 80s, when Frank Miller and Alan Moore, of course, came onto the scene. And in there he explains that the people who were keeping it running were these kids that were buying the issues directly from DC and Marvel themselves. And he said you would go to the back rooms and you would see, along with like a bunch of porn magazines and stuff like that, comic books, which were even harder to get than the porn mags and stuff like that. And so that was essentially how it got started, was they were selling those, and there was a profit to be made in it because they couldn't buy them in the stores, because you had all these grocery stores like, I don't want to touch that because then we're going to get chewed out by the parents and blah blah blah, we don't know how to deal with it. So they were finding a way around it and still selling it, like basically directly to the people who wanted them. And I think, I might have this wrong, but I think the guy who runs Mile High Comics was one of them. And I don't know if he is the owner of Diamond Distribution or what's going on there. I'm not exactly sure, and I'm sorry if I'm like spreading some BS or some false crap here. Anybody can feel free to correct me in the comments. There's bound to be some stuff I forgot. That was a 2-part podcast. But anyways, there we go. I'm going to fill that in really quick. Looks like I got it all. Those kids that were saving it, right? They went on to create, I can't remember what the one that used to exist was. There was another company that was a distribution center. It got whittled down basically to 2 big ones. And it was Diamond and one other one, and I can't remember it. And anyways, they were selling those books, and basically they had reached an agreement to sell those books exclusively for those companies, so that they were their big distributor. But where the problem came in, worse than ever probably, was that they bought out, well, actually right before they bought out their competitor, they both, it wasn't Diamond, it was the other one, they reached an exclusive deal with Marvel, right? Which was at the time the holy grail of publishers, because they were making the most money. X-Men was like number 1 all the time, things like that. And so they somehow got Marvel to agree to distribute exclusively with them, which did what for Diamond? It forced them to go strictly only DC. And when that happened, so there was some kind of bad decision or something like that was made, he said, at Marvel, and Marvel wasn't doing so good. So the other company, they couldn't publish any DC titles, right? Because they worked themselves into a corner. So if their head honcho Marvel wasn't doing so good, they're virtually out of business. So they had to sell out to Diamond, and then Diamond now basically is a monopoly in that market. So you will not get a comic book from somebody else, that is published by Marvel or DC or whatever, that it has not been bought at first through Diamond distributors. So you got other comic book places that you can buy it from and stuff like that, but you're not getting it firsthand if you're a retailer or whatnot. And so now they got all these problems, I guess, where they're doing, I was hearing about a month or 2 ago that they're doing this thing where they want you to submit an order for blah 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 amount. I don't remember what it was. It's really high. And then if you don't, if you can't afford to pay that up front, they hold your books the whole time until you have finished making those payments. Then they send you the comics. So obviously you can see why some people would say, oh, comic books aren't doing so good, right? Because they're not coming to the stores and this and that, blah blah. No, it actually has nothing to do with the books themselves at all. It's the horrible, horrible distribution problem. So, which is an opportunity for indies, because as indie comic creators, nobody really has to face any of that. You can just, create your book, go find a printer, and then see if the comic shop will be willing to carry that, which, as long as they're okay with the material or whatever that you're putting out. Or I don't know, I haven't really seen anybody do like a quality check where it's got to be up to a certain par or whatever. But yeah, I mean, heck, if you want to do it, just do it. And then now people will have another choice of stuff to read that is not Marvel or DC, right? And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Image is hooked up to a certain degree with Diamond Distributor because they're the biggest one there is, right? But I don't think, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think they're fully dependent on it. So I don't think they have, a completely exclusive contract or anything like that. You know what? Actually, I don't know. They might. But anyways, that's the only major thing that can be causing, at least that I know of. I might be wrong. There might be other issues too that I don't know of or I had read and forgot. But that one is so ridiculous that it's pretty hard to get out of your mind. Even if that was only one of the issues of the industry, I don't know, it's just silly. To know that you got all these people that are fans and everything else like that, and they're just, getting squeezed, because it's not the most profitable thing in the world, obviously, to freaking run a comic shop and stuff like that, right? So to take the fans and stuff, and the shop owners are fans too and stuff, so to squeeze them all like that is just, I don't know. To me, you're looking at a future of a downfall for your company if you do stuff like that. I mean, I had been saying that for years about Apple, and it took them all the way to iPhone, what is it now, 10? And then people are finally realizing, I'm seeing all these videos pop up all over YouTube titled something or other about why I'm not using Apple anymore, or why I'm this and that, blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, these are things that anybody that knows anything about electronics, they already knew this stuff years ago. I mean, I love technology, but there was a giant growth between the early models of iPhone and early models of Android phones as compared to the Apple phones. And then after a while, all of the commercials just started, every Apple commercial I saw from, I think it was the second or third iPhone, was just a very bad version of anything that was Android, really. The panoramic thing, for instance. They're like, oh, the new iPhone now has panoramic shots and this and that, blah blah. And I'm like, oh man, like the previous 2 or 3 generations, I think it was, of Android phones before that had that. I mean, my phone's got it right now. And mine's like, man, I think mine's like 3 years old. But I had an Amaze phone, and at that time, a HTC Amaze from T-Mobile, and that thing was, it was already late to the game in having panoramic, and that was the time that those Apple commercials came out. So I don't know, it's just been nothing but that for years, and now finally Apple fans are having a backlash. I don't know, sorry if there's any, people that love Apple out there. They're not a terrible, I don't think they're awful or they make bad electronics or anything like that. It's just what they offer versus what you get has always been bad to me. I've never looked at a PC specs and then looked at a Mac specs and been like, whoa, there's a huge difference. No, it's always lower on the Mac end. I know people that had spent $2,000 and $4,000, and my computer which cost probably about 3,000 when it came out, but I bought it after it was already 2 years old and had already had a drastic drop because it's got a terrible motherboard in it. And at that time, mine was beating the latest Apple computers that were out, and mine's from 2009. You know, it's an old computer, and by 2013, 2014, things like that, all the latest Macs, mine was still beating. And those were $4,000 computers. So it just goes to show you, you know, like, I don't know, you just got to watch out for what you buy and get a little bit more involved in it, especially if you're doing anything like working on it all the time or whatnot. It's just better to know about it, you know. I don't know, that's how I look at it, at least. To me, I'm not going to drive a car around and not know anything about what's under the hood. That's just me. Not everybody likes to do that, and quite frankly, you know, that's always been my outlook on it. Like, I've known people that are like, oh, I want to buy a computer, but I don't know anything about computers and this and that, blah blah. I'm like, well, I can't say don't get a Mac then, because the Macs work, you know. Apple computers work. So if that's what you want something that's just gonna work. Well, how can I argue with that? You know, it'd be silly of me to argue, no, don't get an Apple. You know, get a Windows computer that, you know, as a consumer, you're telling me you don't understand this Windows computer, but go ahead and get that anyways. No, that's just ridiculous. That's what I mean. I've never hated Apple. It's just sometimes their marketing department drives me crazy. It's like a political campaign sometimes. You know, they're telling you things, and anybody that knows this stuff, they're gonna, you know, you're just sitting there shaking your head like, who in the hell are you lying to? And of course, it's always the people that, you know, don't know that much about computers. So I don't know. That part sort of makes me bitter. It's like they're taking advantage of people that don't know about electronics. You shouldn't be doing that as an innovative or allegedly innovative company. But enough about that. I don't hate Apple. It's just I wish they would get it together when it comes to that. You know, your fan base won't be ignorant forever, and now a lot of people are waking up to it. That's all I'm trying to say. But anyways, back to the state of the comics thing. I think people should really, if you do have a book idea and stuff like that you want to get out there, you know, just make it happen. Because I don't know what's going to happen with the diamond distributors, but I know a lot of shops are probably going to suffer if they keep doing that whole, you know, pay us in the hole before we do the shipment thing. Which is crazy because they know the other stuff works, right? Like when DC did, I think it was both the New 52 and the Rebirth, or maybe it was just the Rebirth launch. They experienced record sales. Well, recently record sales. Nothing that, you know, really surpasses a lot of the image stuff, but they had quite a few record sales as of recent years because the shops were able to buy what they needed, right, and then return the unsold books because they wanted to get a lot of those number ones and early issues sold. So they were able to return anything that didn't sell off of those first issues, I think it was. And so, you know, that encourages the shops to buy up a lot of copies because they're like, oh, I can't lose because whatever I sell, right? And whatever I don't sell, I can return it. And they had crazy numbers turn out from that. So you know that doing it in that way works is the most profitable thing for them to ship out and bring it back as far as diamond distributors is concerned. Probably not from a business perspective. But at the same time, what do you want to do? You want to stifle the industry by having, you know, comic shop owners pay for all that stuff up front or pay ridiculous amounts of minimum orders? And they do. I mean, it's insane. I looked into doing it myself at one point, and I was like, wow, that is just out of my league. So of course, a lot of other people get their books elsewhere, And you don't get them at those low prices, of course, because those other people that are buying it from Diamond have to make their money. So I don't know. The whole thing is just, on that end, it's a crazy freaking mess, I think. But as far as the opportunity it leaves open for indie creators, if you can create your own system and bypass them, why not? I'm lassoing the heck out of this. Okay, so I'm already at 25 minutes, and I think I'm going to pretty much call the video here. Or else you guys are going to watch me ramble on for like an hour. So let me cut all this other, whoops. Chop all this other stuff off here and fill in this last part, and I'm done for the, well, I'm gonna keep working, but I'm done for the video right now. But yeah, just giving an update on where I'm at, you know, again, and I'll probably see you guys in the next video. Do this fill here. Oops, gotta cut that part out too. Yeah, I'm gonna do issue 2 should be a lot faster, because instead of doing a lot of this by, you know, this way of flatting, there's a way that you can actually just, if you draw in vector, I think I mentioned this in one of the other videos, you can just go ahead and drag the paint bucket right across everything. Here, let's see if I got it now. There we go. Okay, then I'll just keep going from there. Yep, that's basically my expression right there to the comics industry. I'm like, come on, come on. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.